Hey everyone, my name's Helen Knight and I'm the founder of Creative Business Brain. We help lots of different types of creative designers and agencies all around the world. But today we are going to talk to Pippa Tanko, who helps courageous creatives use strategy-driven photography to stand out and be more visible. I'm really excited to hear all about her. We're going to have a little chat about confidence today and how it's so important to really start getting yourself out there.
How are you, Helen?
Oh, really good, thank you. Yeah. Oh, I love the colour of your jumper. I've got a jumper that colour as well. And I was thinking today, oh, what colour shall I wear? I like wearing nice, colourful things,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
when you do videos. But
This is my brand, one of my brand colors. So I tend to try and wear
yeah.
brand colors when I'm
Yeah,
doing
me
them.
too. Well, I've got lots to choose from because I've got my logo
You
here.
have got loads, I can see.
Yeah. So I'm always, when I'm looking in my wardrobe, I'm always thinking of that. I'm like, okay,
Yes,
does that go?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So shall we start the discussion then by, I'd just love to ask you first of all a little bit about how the experience you've had helping creatives has helped you think differently about your photography and what you've been doing with photography. I'm sure you've been in the industry for a long time. Has it changed your sort of thoughts on it since you've been helping people with their confidence and that kind of thing as well?
Yes, I think the biggest shift for me is understanding the power of personal branding and the power of using images of yourself and how that can um, help you become more personable to your audience. But I think deeper than that, the biggest thing or change that I've seen in my own work is finding a way to differentiate creatives from each other because there's so much competition out there in the market
Yeah.
in in all the industries, especially since COVID, where all businesses have gone online. There are a lot more people engaging in social media, a lot more people using social media, using their website. There are a lot more online businesses. Um, and so having a really strong online presence is important, but it also needs to be different from the competitors out there. And the way that I've started to help business owners is really understand what makes them different
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
makes them, their unique story. And I think so many of them come to me with the challenge of thinking, oh, my story isn't unique. And I felt the same way, growing up. I remember going through this journey for myself and thinking, oh well, my life wasn't that exciting, it wasn't that interesting.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize through the process of understanding my story
Mm,
and realizing what makes me different. And I
yeah.
think we spend so much of our times trying to, I don't know, blend in or follow the crowd or not be seen to be too outspoken or, you know,
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
that actually plays against us.
It does. And so many people that I help say they're kind of worried about doing something new and different because they're worried about being judged, basically. So they're always worried about, well, what are they going to think? What are all my old colleagues going to think? Or what are all my clients going to think if I start doing this? And they're so worried about it. So not everyone, but I've had a few people like that. So
I
yeah.
think even, what are my family going to think of me?
Yeah.
Like suddenly showing up on video and acting like an expert, but we are all experts
Uh,
in our experience and what we've got to offer. And I
yeah.
think we've got way more to offer than we realize, and sometimes we just need some help uncovering that.
Definitely, yeah. And we sort of take for granted all the things we know and all the knowledge we have and all the amazing things we've done. And it's funny because I was talking to my partner about this last night and he said, um, isn't it a shame that we don't live in a world where we're really like cheering people on when they do amazingly well? It's like everyone daren't tell people when something amazing's happened because they're worried about what they're going to say and how they're going to be judged and how that's going to affect their relationship with someone. And it's just such a shame that we can't just be like really excited for everyone when there's something amazing happens in their business and
Mhm.
be cheering them on. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, it's really crazy. I'm definitely trying to change the world in that way.
But
Uh,
I do think that people do cheer you on.
mm,
Like, I think when I talk about personal branding, I think it's just as important for it to kind of, I don't know, repel the people that are not your people as
Yeah.
it is to attract the people that are.
Mm.
And it's, I think people, when they run a business, they're so nervous of limiting themselves to potential leads or potential sales. And so that niching becomes a real problem for them. Or I don't know, just sharing things becomes a problem because they're worried they might upset one kind of person, or,
Yeah.
but I think that's important because you can't be everything to everyone.
No. And
And I think it's the people that really value you will be your cheerleaders and will cheer you on.
yeah, and
And
it's so important because then, because it's like it's actually a really positive thing, like you mentioned, because it helps it to be more obvious what is a good fit and what is not a good fit, and who is a perfect client for you and who isn't a perfect client. And like you say, it doesn't matter if everyone's not cheering you on, but the right people will. That's, yeah,
mm,
you're right. I think it's so important to just focus on your ideal client.
mhm,
What anyone else says doesn't matter because
mhm.
they're not a perfect fit, so it doesn't matter what they think.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because we're very judgmental of ourselves.
Mm.
We're very hard on ourselves. And I know from my own experience with sharing images of myself online, which I do all the time,
Yeah.
my clients often say to me, "Oh my God, Pippa, I just see you everywhere." And that's because I've got confident, but I didn't start out that way. I didn't start off thinking, "Oh, I'm so excited to share loads of photos of myself."
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
and I remember I would be very like specific on which images I would share. These ones fit the kind of how I felt, I guess, what I felt was expected of me, how I should show up.
Okay.
Um, and
Yeah.
then there were maybe some images that were probably more me because they were showing my personality, but I was doing something goofy, or,
Yeah.
I was acting in a silly way,
Yeah.
which I often do. So
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I had the courage to share those images, and at first I was like, cringe, these are terrible. But it was interesting the feedback that I got
Mm.
because people were way more engaged with those more outgoing, different images of me being a bit
Yeah.
goofy than they were of the perfectly posed
Yeah.
businesswoman I was trying to portray. And I think,
Yeah. It's so important to have your human side out there as well. I try and encourage clients to obviously do certain types of content each week, and obviously the imagery that goes with it is important. And yeah, so you do have to have certain days where you are just talking about things that are real life and like are more on the human side, if that makes sense. So yeah, I do encourage them to, talk about normal stuff as well.
mm,
And what, so they can really understand more about that person as a human being and trust
mm,
and understand, what have they got in common with them and how can
mm,
they relate to them more. And I love sharing silly pictures of me on my bike with the dog because she goes in a little basket on the front of the bike and
I
things
love
like
that.
that, just little things like that we do normally, we do these
Mm,
things, and it's fun to share those moments with people.
mm,
um and yeah, it just helps people relate to you. Oh great, she loves animals, and do you know what I mean? It's like
exactly.
another part
I
of
think
you, isn't it?
Yes, it's sharing kind of the parts of you that make up who you are. I think for me, one of the elements that I was very shy to talk about on social media initially was mental health, because it's something that I've suffered with since I was a child. And now I actually have photo shoots specifically geared towards creating images that will support me talking about mental health.
Okay.
So for example, I had a shoot of me going through a forest because it's something that I use as a tool to help me manage the stress of being a business owner. I go for walks every day and I go out in nature and
Oh,
I kind of
lovely.
draw on that energy. And
Mm.
so now when I want to talk about that, I've now got images that support that content.
Mm.
So
Oh,
it's
lovely, amazing. No, that's good to hear, and it is great if you can think of really appropriate scenery and spaces that really relate to what you're talking about. Try and encourage people to
Mhm.
do it. like every day during the week, so that
Mm-hmm.
people keep seeing them in their feed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important. But yeah, a lot of people, they just, they don't realize how much trust that builds, and they don't realize how much of an impact that has. Because,
Mm-hmm.
people say to me, "Oh, I see your smiley face in my feed all the time," and I just know that if I stop and read something, it's going to be super valuable. So if
Mm-hmm.
you've got people sort of make that connection,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like having an advert every day, isn't it? And you
It
obviously,
is, and it's really important that you do that. But I think there's also this kind of, I don't know, pressure to post all the time. And
mm,
I think the problem that then generates is we start seeing lots of content about random stuff that everybody's posting about. So like Valentine's Day, for example, is
oh
like
God,
key,
yeah.
people, oh, happy Valentine's Day, everyone, or happy Mother's Day. And I always say to clients, like, pick the things that are really important to you as a business and as a person, and
Mm.
shout about those. And rather than just posting for the sake of posting, because what we do is we just add to the noise of
Oh yeah,
social media. And
yeah.
so it's making sure, like you said, that what you have to say is valuable and
Oh
that
yeah,
someone is going to get value from it.
yeah.
And then, it's also the fun posts. I always say social media is about like entertaining or inspiring or educating. So it's finding, it's okay to do, I don't know, I think one of my best performing posts was me eating a tub of ice cream with a spoon on a bad day. And I was like, this is what my day has been like. So I am going to
Oh.
treat myself to this pot of
Oh,
ice cream, which I think I ate the entire, so I did a little shoot for myself, and I think I ate 2 pots of ice
oh
cream
no.
while I was taking photos.
It's a good excuse.
I know I am a sugar lover, so I'm a
Um,
sugarholic. So
but yeah, I think yeah, it's great if to have like more ideas for your imagery. I think that's really important. I think sometimes when you're in a rush and you're busy, like I tend to fall short a little bit where I'm just doing selfies and stuff, but I, half of me just thinks, oh, it doesn't matter. But then I think, oh no, I should spend more time thinking more about that. It's something that it's definitely like, as a busy business person, you kind of, you don't often have the time to think about these things, do you? So yeah, is that something that you help people do then to sort of
yes.
things? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about kind of scheduling time in to do these things.
Yeah.
So often I'm a big believer in kind of grouping tasks together so that you're working on one kind of type of task for a long period of time, so
Mm.
that you're not task jumping from, okay, I'm going to take a selfie while I do this, and then I'm going to go and reply to that email. And then, so because it just ends up taking way more time. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely very keen on helping people schedule time for certain tasks and then just deciding I'm going to get all of this done. And I do this a lot for my video content. I will schedule in a day
Yeah.
um, and just create all my content in one day, 6 to 10 pieces of content. And then I've got kind of 6 weeks worth of videos because I do one video a week.
Yeah.
Um, so I do it that sort of kind
Great.
of in bulk. But I
Yeah.
will say that when it comes to recording video of myself, my house is very tidy that morning because the cleaning is real, and I don't know what it is that stops me from just doing the video, but
Yeah.
there is always that kind of, I don't know, hesitation to doing it.
Really. Oh no, really. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's not just, you know, even those of us that are good at doing video and have all the gear and, do
yeah.
it regularly, it's still not something that we always think, oh, I'm so excited today to
Yeah.
create video, you
Oh, I
know?
think, yeah, I think it's how your mind perceives those tasks, because you will sort of naturally be drawn to the things you find fun and enjoyable, and then
Mm-mm.
pushed away to the things that you feel as more of a challenge or uncomfortable. So I try, and if there's anything in my life that I feel like is uncomfortable or I don't want to do, but I know I need to do it to move forwards and do,
Mhm,
to the next level, I just try and think of all the positive things about it and all the good things about it
mhm.
and try and convince myself that I'm excited about doing it.
Yes,
Yeah,
where I listen to a certain playlist on the day that I'm creating video. Um,
great.
I think I've found it harder lately because I've got brain fog. So on the days that I've got brain fog, I find it much harder to create video because I have to remember what I'm talking about, and sometimes it just vanishes out of my head.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've also realized that on those days, I just change the video to another day because
yeah.
I will spend all day on one video trying to get it right and then realize that I could have just done it in
Oh,
10 minutes on another day
yeah,
when the fog wasn't quite
yeah.
so
It's
real.
it's definitely important to do it when you're inspired and when you feel like you're ready to do it. And
Yes, and you're feeling energized because I think it is something that can be quite draining because you're trying to think of what you want to say and you're trying to make sure you add value. And,
yeah,
there's a lot to think about in terms of the equipment that you use and things like that. But I think the less you think about it and the more you just do it,
yeah.
the
I think
easier it is.
definitely about relaxing more and
Mm,
just taking the pressure off yourself. Because I
mm,
think I used to be like that. I used to put so much pressure on myself about everything, and I used to
mm,
give myself massive anxiety about stupid
mm,
things. So,
mm, mm,
and I learned how to take the pressure off myself so I don't feel like that anymore. And everything feels so much more, it's like kind of flows rather than it feeling like a real, like I'm really forcing myself. I'm
mm.
actually just enjoying it and I'm just going with the flow and I'm just allowing myself to make mistakes. If I make mistakes, it doesn't matter. I just edit them out. It's not, I try not to make it such a big deal. And if you can just, again, focus on what, that you're helping people, it's not always about yourself, like worrying about how you look and all that stuff. It's about the message and what you're saying.
It's so true. I think if you can take the focus off yourself, and this is not about me and how I'm going to be perceived and how people are going to judge me, and you think this is how I'm going to add real value to someone, because somewhere out there, someone needs your help with whatever it is that you do. There is
Yeah,
somebody that needs your services. So if you can focus on why you do what you do and
mm,
who you help, it's much easier to take that focus off yourself and kind of focus on the value that you're delivering. And I think
yeah.
that's very powerful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to get your thoughts on authenticity as well, because
Hmm.
I'm really big on authenticity. But I've also got this challenge where, like, a lot of people talk to you about when you want to get to the next level in your business, and they say things like, well, I say it too. It's like you've got to become the person that is the person in the future that's achieving those
Mm.
things, but you also want to be attached to your own authentic self. So it's
Mhm.
almost a bit of a contradiction in itself, isn't it?
It
And
is. It
yeah,
is. And sometimes in photography, we want to portray that person in the future as their future self to some degree, but
mm,
that's still within the constraints of who they are as a person. So
mm,
that's where the authentic part comes in. For me as a photographer, the authenticity comes in showing up as your real self and not being airbrushed or retouched or, fixed and and in this day and age, everybody's getting
yeah,
filters put on and, all of those things. So I
yeah.
always say I like to make people look like they've had a Barocca. It's you, but on a really good day. So,
That sounds good. It's funny you say that because I was talking to a friend this week, a lady that I meet up with to do a bit of a mastermind with every now and then. She's
mhm,
lovely. And she started talking about how when she was younger, she was like, she used to put herself in really uncomfortable situations, as in like she would wear like not stuff that she was really comfortable in just because she wanted to look good. And, you know,
mm,
she's always thought about having Botox and all that kind of stuff, and
mm,
it's very much on her mind. And I said to her, it's so important, like to just love who you are already. And like obviously everyone has little things that they don't like about themselves, especially if you're seeing yourself on camera all the time.
Mm-mm.
And I started to notice things about myself, and I was like, oh God, I used to have a mole there that I had removed and things like that, you know. And it's just like little stupid things that probably no one else ever notices.
Yes, it's
Um,
true, but we're our worst judges when it comes to stuff like that. But I do think there's something to be said for stepping into that version of yourself. And I think for me, that's very much part of my journey as a photographer, because I was a family and baby photographer predominantly up until I've been doing branding for about 12 years now. But that first step to have a shoot of myself, I was always hiding on this side of the camera and not on the other side of the camera. Now I'm quite used to both sides, so it's
yeah,
good. But
that's
you
good.
know, I wasn't really comfortable with having my photo taken, because I was quite comfortable just showing all my lovely clients and not having my photo taken.
Yeah.
And so, but I decided I had to put my money where my mouth was and practice what I preach, and I had my own shoot. And I think the real value for me personally at the time was I thought I was a stay-at-home mum with a part-time business that wasn't really, a real business owner.
Oh,
And I think the power those images created for me was I suddenly started to see myself as the business owner I was striving to become. And I
mm,
realized that that person was who I am today.
yeah.
And I think that was very powerful from a confidence perspective for me, because I think sometimes only when you see yourself as in that kind of possibility of being that person can
Yeah.
you actually start taking steps to become that person, or you realize that you're that person today. You just need to keep going.
Yeah, it's crazy how we don't see ourselves as we are often, but and other people do. So I always say to people, talk to people that know you well
Mm,
and get them to tell you your genius zones and the things that, how the things that really make you shine,
mm,
because it's so important to take that on board and just realize
mm,
who you really are. And it's very hard for some people to do that. They find it very hard to like they come to me and say, oh, I'm really rubbish at talking about myself or promoting myself. And they just don't realize how amazing they are. I've had clients that have got BAFTAs and things like that, and they think that, they still worry about those things, and it's ridiculous.
mm.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think I think we it's almost ingrained in us when we're younger, like don't talk about yourself too much, or don't show off. We're often told when we're kids. And so
Yeah.
we have this kind of upbringing of not talking about ourselves too much, and not shouting about how good we are at stuff. But
Mm.
it's not, if you can put, again, going back to that point about putting who you're serving at the forefront of what you're doing, really the reason why you're doing what you're doing is to benefit them. And so
Mm.
if you can show that,
Yeah.
then it kind of takes the pressure off the way we feel about ourselves a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, and it's almost like trying to get out of your own head and take the focus off like your own thoughts about you, and start like I talk a lot about self-talk with my clients as well. Talk a lot about self-talk because it has a massive impact on
Mm-hmm.
how you feel, how you view yourself, how you
Mm-hmm.
show up, the actions you take. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you can create really positive self-talk about yourself and really start cheering yourself on rather than putting yourself down, that
Yeah.
has a massive impact, obviously, on how you feel. And like, it shows in people's faces. I've noticed actually, I've just thought about that. When I look on people's profiles, even their photo in the profile, you can tell a lot about how someone's feeling just by that photograph. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
very intuitive as well, and I really can see. It's really weird. It's like I can really see how that person's feeling just from that photograph. So
Mm-hmm.
it's so important, isn't it, to capture someone in the right way?
It
Uh,
is. And I think there is also this other problem that I see a lot of my clients have, in that they have a certain personality and a certain way, but they feel like that is misaligned to the clients they're trying to work with. And so they're trying to find that balance between how do I show up as my authentic self,
mm,
and how do I align that with the audience I'm trying to attract.
yeah.
And so finding that balance can feel really difficult. And so that's kind of where I come in, and we kind of look for the kind of crossover point of like who you are, who your clients are, and how do we portray you in that way that's authentic to who you are, but also aligns with your
Definitely.
clients.
Definitely. I think sometimes the issue there sometimes is just that they don't feel good enough. Like they
Yes.
want to attract a certain client, but they're almost scared to believe they can do it because they don't feel good enough in themselves.
And
And that,
sometimes you see that, sorry, in that in their images, they almost hiding themselves to portray this other person that they expect their clients want to see.
yeah,
And that is a very draining thing to keep having to do, is trying to
yeah,
pretend to be someone you're not.
definitely. It's very stressful. It puts a lot of pressure on yourself, doesn't it? So yeah, it's very important just to I keep saying to everyone, just relax and enjoy every day. Relax. And
Yeah.
like just when I meet people as well, new people that I met a lovely guy yesterday from America. I forgot where he was exactly, but I could just see the stress in his face, and I could, do you know what I mean? You could just tell. And I was like, okay, we just need to relax, and it's okay. Just explain what's going on, and I think it's important to help people feel really comfortable. And once,
Mm.
I think you're probably really good at that as a photographer. Once people feel really comfortable and they can be more open with you, it just makes everything much easier, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And it's such a big part of my process and the way that I work with clients is all
Mm.
about how we create that before I even point a big scary camera in their face. Most people don't love having their photo taken, certainly if they're not used to doing it regularly.
Yeah,
And so it's one of the things that I've built, thought a lot about in how I can create that comfort and relaxed atmosphere
yeah,
before we've even got to a shoot.
yeah,
And
amazing.
then yeah, one of my past clients, I worked with a design agency in Leeds, and they pivoted to work with a new niche, and their imagery was very creative,
Mhm.
and it was all about them, and they had these really interesting colored light filters over their faces, and it was almost a way for them to hide because neither of them were very comfortable being in front of the camera, and they thought, well, if we put these colored lights kind of over it, this like
Yeah.
effect, it won't be quite so in your face.
Mm.
And it was very creative and very much about them, but it wasn't. They pivoted to work with charities, but charities are really risk averse, so they want to see the real people behind the brand, before they kind of trust them enough to invest with them. So
Yeah,
we had to find a way to create some new imagery that aligned with like who they are as creatives, because they are a very creative, diverse agency, as
yeah,
well as incorporating kind of their ideal clients
yeah, and their personality as
and their
well.
personality and all of that. So it's about bringing the two together, really. And
Mm.
so, like, through that process of, planning the shoot, doing the strategy, they start to get to relax, get used to you. But even the first beginning of a shoot is always quite uncomfortable for most people. And I know the first images that I take in the day are very rarely going to be used because they're still quite uncomfortable.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then I might circle back to taking those images again towards the end of the day,
okay.
or I try all the things I don't think are going to work at the beginning. So if there's a location, I think I'm not sure 100% that location's going to work, then
Mm.
I'll test it in those beginning kind of shots while they're getting to relax, and
Yeah,
I'll know whether the light works or it doesn't work, and then I'll try the other things, and if it did work, I'll just circle back to it at the end.
yeah, amazing. Yeah,
Mm.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, and a lot of your shoots, are they sort of all over the place, or do you only travel certain places, or yeah, whereabouts?
No, so I travel all over everywhere.
Okay,
I've got so I'm based south of London. So a lot of my clients are London, kind of Kent, Surrey, Sussex. I'm
yeah,
actually right in the middle of all those three counties. So
mm.
they tend to be there. But as I said, I've got three clients in Leeds I travel up to, and
Oh,
I've got a client in Europe that I travel to maybe 5 times a year, 3 to 5 times a year.
um,
Um, and I've just signed my first client in America. So
Oh, wow.
it's more just for the strategy side, and then
Okay.
we're going to find a local photographer to do the
Oh, what a great
photography
idea.
side.
Yeah.
So I do actually work with people all over the world. So that
Amazing.
was my goal for the year, was to
Oh,
sign
well
a
done.
client in America, and I did that a month ago. So
Oh,
I
well done.
keep talking about it because I can't believe it's happened.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well done. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, because I was just curious about that, how you would do that when it was further away. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, in Europe and the UK I travel. I would love someone to pay for to fly me to America to do their shoot. I won't lie. Like I've
One
got
day.
grand dreams about all the people I would see while I was there.
Yeah, put it on the dream board.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Amazing.
but this is the first step maybe, and then, we'll see
Yeah,
as I get some clients that have bigger budgets for flying me over.
yeah.
That would be an exciting opportunity. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely. I'm always surprised, like, where people are from when I meet them online, and my partner's always going, "Oh, where are they from? Where are these from?" And I actually had a map built on my wall out of wood that so that I can see where people are because I was like, I don't even know where that is.
Yes, and because I'm South African, I don't know the UK terribly well. I do know it, but people say, "Oh, I'm from this tiny little town somewhere in Wales," and I'll be like, let me just get my Google map out and have a look.
Yeah, yeah, but it's
So,
lovely, and I just love learning about people from different places as well.
mm,
Yeah, it's really great, and yeah, it's definitely just a really enjoyable way to work, isn't it? When you can meet people all over and
yes.
share everything you can, teach them, just give tons of value, help as many people as you can. It just opens up a whole new world, and
And often where people are from are very much a part of their story.
mm,
So it's
oh yeah,
helping them kind of understand what impact that has on who they are as a person, and then how they can use that and harness that information for their personal brand.
okay, yeah, that's
So I
good.
find, yeah, location plays a big, and history really plays a big part in like who you are today and what shaped you to be the person that you are today, as well as kind of who you would like to be in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because I talk about my story on my website and on my webinar and stuff like that. And I always, when I look back, I feel like I've had a different life almost. Like it feels so di like I feel like such a different person now. And it's really, really weird. But yeah, do you feel the same? How do you feel? Do you feel like you've been on a massive journey and like your confidence is has grown along, along with you, or how do you feel?
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't like to talk about confidence for myself. I don't consider myself confident, but I consider myself courageous.
Okay.
And it's something that I think I was a real introvert to begin with, and
Mm.
it's something that I've worked on through pushing myself outside my comfort zone, which is my favorite place to be. Uh,
Yeah.
slightly, not for too long, but slightly uncomfortable is my favorite place to be because I always make real growth when I'm there. So,
Yeah.
so I think definitely my story and my journey plays into the person that I've become today. And I
Mm.
definitely see traits of myself talking about that courage. I used to love jumping off waterfalls as a teenager, young adult, and
Yeah.
I was always the only girl who was doing it. All the other girls were suntanning on the rocks at the bottom of the waterfalls, and I was up there with the boys finding
Oh,
the
well
who
done.
could get higher, who could get the highest spot to
Yeah,
jump off. And I
brilliant.
that's taught me some things about myself. That story and that activity has taught me something about myself, and that is that I am courageous and I like to push myself. But also, one of the things that I found the most was if I got up to the top of that waterfall to jump off and I stopped to think about how high it was, what a big waterfall it was, what could happen. I could hit a log in the river at the bottom and break a leg. If I stopped to think about all of those things, I wouldn't jump.
Mm. Yeah.
So, that just talks to the like overthinking things. So in
Yeah.
business and life, I tend to try and just jump,
Yeah, me too.
worry about it later, because
Yeah,
I think we're so good
great
at getting
advice.
in our own way and creating reasons for not doing things that are going to give us real progress or,
Yeah,
benefit us in some way. And
yeah.
it's that fear. So if you can not think about it before and just dive in and worry about it later. But I think that changes as you get older.
Mm,
It becomes less easy. Well,
yeah,
I've certainly found that I
yeah.
have to remind myself,
Mm.
and that self-talk, of don't overthink it. Let's just get it done. Done is better than perfect, things like
Yeah, absolutely. What a great advice. And it really reflects on, your how we think and obviously just being part of being a human being, and your subconscious mind is always trying to keep you safe. So sometimes I even have that kind of conversation on a call with someone that I've never met before because they don't understand their own thought process, and they don't understand that what's actually going on in there is that their subconscious is just trying to keep them safe. If
that.
that's where they want to be, that they're never going to move forwards. But
Mm,
if they want to, progress and improve their business, you have to do scary things. It's just
mm.
part of the
And I
process.
think sometimes there's something to be said for like understanding that is a part of yourself and it is a good part.
Mm,
It is a part that is there to keep you safe.
yeah.
And so I think often this part stems from something in our past where we've kind of been judged or had some kind of experience. But
Mm,
if you can talk to that part of yourself and say, look at how far I've come
yeah.
from that experience to now. Don't
Mm,
worry, I've got this. I can do this. Like, look, I'm managing. And so accepting, thanking it for being a part of your journey because it's been keeping you safe, but just using it as a like be kind to yourself, but it's time for me to move forward because I can do bigger, greater things.
yeah, that's it. And I can help more people.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
brilliant, brilliant. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and it's been a lovely chat. I've really enjoyed it. And if anybody wants to connect with you, what would you advise? Do you want to tell everybody where you are and your website?
Sure. So the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn,
Mm,
and it's Pippa Tanko. My website will be, we're launching in, I think 2 weeks now. So
okay,
it's andpip.co.uk. But
okay,
if you go on it now, it will take you to the old site anyway. So it's kind of live now. But the new site, which I'm very excited to launch because it's been a labor of love with an incredible web designer. So I'm very
amazing.
excited to
Oh,
share
brilliant.
it.
Can't wait to see it. You'll have
Yes,
to share
thank
it.
you so much for having me on.
You're so
Um,
welcome.
yeah, and I'll definitely share it once I'm
Thank
sure
you.
it'll be all over LinkedIn and
Yeah.
everywhere with that launch.
Brilliant. Brilliant. All right. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Good luck with everything and keep in touch. And yeah, because it's
Yeah,
been ages since we've chatted. So make sure
I
you.
know. Yes, absolutely. I think it would be great if we keep in touch and
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
do some more of these.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay,
brilliant.
cool. Take
All
care.
right, Helen.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.